Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson. I am the founder and the spiritual director. Now, as you are sitting there joining us, you may have questions, any number of questions, such as, who am I? How did I get here? Spiritually integrated arts means what exactly? What is a teaching center? Well, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is that? What does that even mean? Or New Thought, or religious science, or science of mind and spirit? You may have any number of questions about this specific community, about the parent organization, CSL, our philosophy, our teaching, our liberation theology. Any number of questions. Feel free to send an email. We look forward to connecting more and building our virtual community, our global community. And if you haven't connected yet on social media, feel free to do so. This is your invitation now. Also, did you know that all of our Sunday messages are archived on our YouTube channel? You can watch it anytime. Now, questions about anything, such as becoming a member. What does that mean? What does membership entail? And if you live somewhere far and already belong to a spiritual community, can you be a member of more than one? The simple answer is yes, you can. Just like you can shop at more than one grocery store, you can attend or be a member of more than one gym. We are building beloved community. So you can do both. You can be a member of both. You can be involved with both. That's what being in spiritual community means. So we welcome you. We invite you. We are so appreciative that you have found this community and that you have joined us today. We bless you. We love you. We welcome you. Live long and prosper. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of our Sunday message. Love you. Connect with you soon. Blessings. Namaste and Merry. No, it's not that. It's that month, but not quite that time. So, December already, as 2024 comes to an end. We finish off the year still talking about a grand rising. And this month, our theme, Up, Up, and Away. How fitting, is it not? It's very superhero-esque. Today, we are specifically talking about grand rising on solid faith. So we end this year having explored a grand rising. We conclude this theme this month, and I want us to make the most of this time by inviting us to take off. Up, up, and away. There's a poem by Guillaume Apollinaire that says, "Come to the edge," he said. "We can't. We're afraid," they responded. "Come to the edge," he said. "We can't. We will fall," they responded. "Come to the edge," he said. And so they came, and he pushed them, and they flew. Breathe. What will it take for us, individually and collectively, to truly fly, to truly rise up grandly, to truly experience a world that works for all? What will it take for us to do so? What degree of faith must we have? How must we apply our faith? So if you are ready, let's unfold, unfurl our wings of faith, and let us take to the skies. Grand rising on solid faith. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking, because its trust is not in the branch, but in its own wings. This month, we explore what it means to truly take flight, to live our best lives in alignment with principle, in magnificently life-affirming ways. Let us ask ourselves, how am I utilizing, how am I applying my faith? What is it that I have faith in? Who do I have faith in? How do I embody the faith of God rather than simply having faith in God? Everything is created twice. First, it is created in mind, in consciousness. Then, through whatever practices, through whatever behaviors, then it is created into form. The song first appears in the consciousness of the musician. And then through their practice, the song is given expression. It takes form. The potter sees the pot, the work of art, in consciousness, as inspiration, as imagination, long before the clay is thrown on the wheel. The four pillars of our mental equivalence have a powerful influence on our lives, individually and collectively. How are our mental equivalents impacting the life that we are experiencing right now? Breathe. Because the only way we can up, up, and away is by looking at what is keeping us grounded, meaning not grounded as in anchored and solid in and on our faith, but grounded as in, young man, because of what you did in school, you are grounded, shackled to your room, unable to fly. As we said, a bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because the trust, their faith is not in the branch. Their trust, their faith, their confidence is in their own wings. As Victor Hugo says, be like the bird who, pausing in her flight, a while on boughs too slight, feels them give way beneath her, and yet sings, knowing she hath wings. What is this inviting us? What consciousness is this inviting us into possessing, being possessed by, and applying in our lives? How are we invited to be like this bird who feels the fragility of a job, a relationship, politics, whatever that is? I feel it move beneath me, and yet I have the conviction and the confidence to sing because I know that whatever this branch does matters less than what I do with my own wings. Do I trust the branch as the thing that, or do I trust my wings? Do I trust my ability to know the truth and be applied and apply the truth based on principle? Far too many of us put more faith in an anthropomorphic God and idea, put more faith in Ernest Holmes as the founder of this movement, which is why rather than taking his invitation to be open at the top, we close off. We put him on a pedestal, which is not what he wanted, because it's easier for us to idolize than to self-realize and then take to the skies. Speaking of Dr. Holmes, he said, the new age, and he's not talking about new age like, yeah, I'm going to light some incense and get some crystal. He's not talking about new age like that. He's talking about the new age, meaning this new era. This new age demands that the fear and superstition surrounding religious convictions be removed, and that the truth, plain, simple, and direct, be presented, that people may learn to live now, in the present, with the assurance, with the confidence that the eternal God is their refuge. Well, considering it's all there is, how could it not be? What aspect of fear and superstition is keeping us caged? What consciousness and beliefs are keeping us caged? What grudge is keeping us caged? What thing that we will not forgive is keeping us caged? What old, outdated ideas are keeping us caged? What are the fences that are holding us back? In some way, shape, or form, we are invited to really do a deep exploration and identify, am I allowing grief or frustration or anger to cage me and keep me fenced in? Am I allowing an idea of an incident to keep me caged in? Am I allowing the addiction or the trauma to keep me caged in? Now, this does not mean we deny the trauma. It does not mean we deny our grief, but we ask ourselves, have I become comfortable sitting in it rather than moving through it? Have I chosen to bypass, which is keeping me caged in, rather than face and address and truly set myself free? So ask, what is the key that will set you free? What is the realization that will set you free? What do you need to be in order to live free? It is your divine nature. So what do you need? We can talk about it in the absolute. We can talk about it in the relative. In order for you, for example, if you are a woman, what do you need to be free to have and live your best life with autonomy of your own body without some men or some pseudo Christians feeling like they need to dominate their version of religion that denies you health care and your body autonomy? What do you need to live free? Well, you need certain laws and legislation to be in place so that they can't do that. So, how do we in spiritual community ensure? How do we treat and move our feet to ensure that? If you are an LGBTQ person, what do you need to live free so that hate crimes and other biased related incidents do not cause you to live in fear, hypervigilance, etc.? If you are a person of color, what do you need to ensure that racism and such things are not impacting your life in a non-life affirming way that denies you equity and justice? What do you need? See, it's not just about, I need more prayer in my life, I need more meditation. It's also about, how do we, a world that works for all, how do we ensure that our legislation, that our laws, that our policies in all aspects of, I invite you to go to the CSL Global Vision and go through, and you will find that there are statements that say what we do, what we envision regarding education, politics, all sectors of community, all sectors of society. This is not just about what we do in the silo of CSL or even in the silo of New Thought. It's about what we are doing globally, universally. What do you need in order to be free? And what will enable you to truly take flight and soar up, up, and away? What will enable you to hold this truth to be self-evident, that you have the right, the divine authority to live and live life abundantly, to live freely, to experience joy and happiness? What will enable you to truly live that way, to experience that? As Dr. Holmes says, religious science is a religion, note he said, religion of joy. Once again, we get caught in jargon and we seem to somehow in New Thought make religion to be the villain or the bad guy, which in essence, when we do that, we are fencing ourselves in. Religion, the etymology of, simply means to be aligned with. That's it. It means I agree with this. I am equally yoked with this. That's what it actually means. But religion has been stolen by a certain branch of people that it has become the villain. I digress. Religious science is a religion of joy, free from fear. It is a religion of faith, justified by results. So breathe and take that in. Free from fear, a religion of faith, justified by results. Okay. What we find in Matthew 17:20, he replied, because you have so little faith. Truly, I tell you, if you have, now let this really sink in. Because you have so little faith, because truly, I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you will be able to say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will obey your words and move. Nothing will be impossible to you or for you if you have the faith of a mustard seed. But because your faith is so small, you mean smaller than a mustard seed? So, as I often remind us, faith isn't really something we have. Like, I have a shirt. Someone takes it, I no longer have it. It's not the way faith works. Faith, the faith of God, faith as God, has you. So rather than thinking of it as something you have, think of how are you using it? Because you use your faith in such a small manner, because truly I tell you, if you utilize your faith to this degree, then you will be able to tell that mountain to move and it will obey, because nothing will be impossible for you. So in what way are you, am I, are we applying, using our faith to take flight? And we're going to come back to this gentleman in a little bit, but Superman is a great symbol for what it means to up, and away. What is our invitation? What will enable us to truly soar? James 4:3 says, you ask, and you receiveth not, because you ask amiss, that ye may spend it in your pleasures. Now, what? Huh? I'm not, I sort of understand, but that's fine. That's why we're going to remix it. You ask, and you do not receive what you are asking for. You seek, and you do not find what you are looking for, because you ask with the wrong motives. Your motivation is ill-placed, and you are acting on and investing in your position of privilege and what works for you. This is in essence what it means. To ask amiss is to ask the motivation. What is motivating you? If your motivation is gotta get, gotta steal, get more money, that's your motive? That's what motivates you? Then you would be willing to enslave certain people simply by the color of their skin so that you can amass wealth. Because that is what motivates you. Get, take. So what is motivating us? When we ask for whatever it is, when we seek whatever it is, what is truly the motivating factor? If we want to move, what is motivating the move? To escape, to get away from, or to get into? Is the fear the motivation or the vision the motivation? And I'm not saying that the fear it's not part of it. But as we said several months back, you're in a sporting, whatever it is, you're playing football, basketball, baseball, and you're playing against whatever team that is. What is motivating you to be the best player you can be? To win the game? To beat them? Or to be the best you can be, regardless of the outcome? I'm going to be my best with the goal of, yes, prayerfully the team wins. But because I cannot govern how we all play, what can I govern? How well I play. And I'm going to play my best, knowing that even if the team loses, I still win because I did my best. What is motivating? I don't want to lose. So the fear of that's what's motivating you, then every action you take is going to be governed by, driven by your application of faith to avoid this particular thing. So you're investing hypervigilance in don't lose, don't lose, don't lose, don't miss, don't miss, don't miss, don't fall, don't fall. That's not do your best. Focus, do your best. Have fun, do your best. Those are two completely different applications of faith. Breathe. Dr. Holmes says the law operates upon acceptance through our belief. So whatever it is we're believing, the law is acting upon it. At our level of faith, according to our recognition. What are we recognizing? What are we realizing? As thou hast believed, so it is done unto thee. This is the magic key to the storehouse of abundance. Now, we already know, if you've been with me for any length of time, we know that there's jargon and stuff here because storehouse of abundance of what? Because abundance simply means a lot of, and I can have an abundance of worries. I can have an abundance of, so let's be clear. Because once again, it comes back to this is the magic key to the storehouse of abundant health and well-being, abundant financial resources, abundant joy, abundant orgasmic bliss in life. Like, name it. What is the abundance of and in? How is it expressing? Our acceptance must be spontaneous in the flow, as well as conscious. That is, the whole mind must accept, the whole being must respond. We must accept inwardly, outwardly, and completely, our entire mental equivalent, aligned with whatever this is, so that our inner and outer move as one accord. Okay? So once again, it comes back to, what do I believe? What do I believe about my body? What do I believe about the government? What do I believe about life in general? What do I believe about death? What do I believe about money? What do I believe about all these things? Because it is, if it's done unto me as I believe, do I just say I believe it? But I really don't. But that's what I'm supposed to say it. So I'm going to say I believe because I don't want to be judged. So I'm going to just go along with the crowd and yes, yes, of course, I believe God is all there is. But everything in my life is demonstrating I really don't. Or I believe more so in an anthropomorphic God. I even believe to a certain degree that there's a devil or anti-God at work in some way, shape, or form. So once again, if we are going to base this grand rising up, up, and away on our mental equivalent, then it would do us great service to explore what do I believe? Because the law As it said, the law is acting on. Just like there is a law that is always at play as it comes to aerodynamics. Just as there is a law at play when it comes to the laws of buoyancy. That which is the law, divine and spiritual law, we can find the law at work in so many ways and places because the absolute spiritual law demonstrates itself as relative, physical, natural laws. And if we really understood this, then we wouldn't simply see the laws of aerodynamics or the laws of buoyancy as somehow, well, that's science. That's not spiritual. So once again, God isn't all there is then, because if God is all there is, then natural law is a byproduct, is an outpicturing of spiritual law. It has to all be related, does it not? I mean, how could it not be? If it's all God, it's all an exactly. So, in the same way that we understand the concept of these natural laws, let us also understand that spiritual law works the same way. The more we understand it, the greater we can apply it. Sri Aurobindo says, when the dividing ignorance is cured, which gives us the sense of a gulf between life and matter, it is difficult to suppose that mind, life, and matter will be found to be anything else than one energy triply formulated. Life, mind, matter. One energy that is showing up as three things. Breathe that in. Because what he's saying is, when you see matter, solid stuff, mind, my thoughts are things, consciousness, this thing called life, the living, breathing, moving, heart beating, all of it is the same energetic thing, just showing up in three different forms, which we understand. Once again, science isn't absent of spirit, it's a demonstration of. So when we look at water, H2O, doesn't H2O demonstrate or show itself as a solid, a liquid, and a gas? So is it that difficult to comprehend that there is one energy that shows up as solid, liquid, gas, mind, life, matter? It's not that difficult, really, unless we choose to make it more difficult. So once again, if we are going to grandly rise and soar, then we have to be willing to reassess, to reevaluate what is it that we really believe, and how is that belief, that faith, being applied in our lives. Dr. Holmes says, here we may meet difficulties, uncertainties, and doubts, barriers walling our passage, those fences that we talked about, the cages. But we must not be discouraged when we are so confronted. We must climb over the rocks of unbelief, pass around the barriers of doubt, and plunge into the stream with faith. The stream will ever widen. The barriers will gradually disappear. Though we walk through the plains and the valleys of indecision and doubt, the stream will still carry us back to the ocean of our being. Now, I don't necessarily agree that all of the barriers will, however, meaning, let me backtrack. Meaning, let's take alcoholism, the addiction to alcohol. Let's take that as the example. And this applies to any addiction, whether it be an addiction to pornography, an addiction to work, doesn't matter what the addiction is. As we begin to climb over the rocks and all the things that he's describing, and the stream is ever widening, and that sobriety from hoarding, sobriety from the drugs, sobriety from the work, whatever, the sobriety is ever widening and it is becoming more and more of our daily being. There may still be times that the call, the temptation, the urge still shows up. Now, that doesn't mean that eventually, yes, it most certainly could completely fade away. But what I find sometimes is that in the beginning processes of the whatever our spiritual growth, when this happens, we blame and shame ourselves because I shouldn't still be feeling this temptation. I shouldn't still be. Why am I still? My consciousness it's because I don't have enough faith. I mean, it said, because you have such little faith, or if you had faith the size of I don't have enough faith, clearly, because if I did, stop guilting and shaming. Recognize, oh, is it less than it used to be? Yes. Do I have something in place so that yes, I'll call my sponsor. Hey, Tracy. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I'm feeling the temptation. Yep. I was getting ready to log on to, www.iloveporn.com. I was on my way and I felt and I needed to, okay. Say it again. Okay, well, wait a minute, because I was also getting ready to go to www.ilovedonuts.com and ilovecake.com and ilovedessert.com. I was getting ready to, okay, so what do you want me to do? Do you have something in place to move you through? Do you have a practitioner or minister that you reach out to? Like, do you have something in place to move you through so that the barrier, the fence, the whatever it is, dissipates until such time as it disappears? It is a process. It's one of the things I loved about the movie The Man of Steel, starring Henry Cavill, because in the movie, it showed him learning how to fly. He didn't just up and away. It took him a moment, and he failed several times. Like right here, he thinks he's got it. He's happy about it. But that's about to change very quickly. And our spiritual life often is the same. We think we got it. Yes, until we come crashing back down and realize, yeah, no. But as it said, we climb over the rocks of doubt and indecision and procrastination, and we rise up grandly, and we have a new opportunity to take off and soar. Breathe. Swami Vivekananda reminds us that each person is an infinite circle whose circumference is nowhere, but whose center is located in one spot. And God is an infinite circle whose circumference is nowhere, but whose center is everywhere. God walks through all hands, sees through all eyes, walks on all feet, breathes through all bodies, lives in all life, speaks through every mouth and every hand that signs, and thinks through every brain. People can become like God and acquire control over the whole universe if they multiply infinitely their center of self-consciousness. Breathe. Now, the idea is technically we're already like God because that's what that which God is already is. So you're already like God. But the question is, are you behaving like God? Are you behaving like someone who knows who and what you are? When an actor takes the stage and they are a certain character, they become that character, and their actions, their motivations are centered around whoever that character is. What does this character want? What does Loki want? What does he want from Thor? What does he want from Thanos? What does Loki want? What does Spider-Man want? How does Spider-Man behave? Does Peter Parker, Spider-Man, behave the same as Loki or Tony Stark, Iron Man? Or do they behave differently because of who they are and what they want, what motivates them? So, who are you? What motivates you? Are you motivated by the realization that you and God are one? Or is it something else? Dr. Holmes says, reducing it to its utmost simplicity, faith resolves itself into a mental attitude toward life. It is a certain positive and affirmative way of thinking, which I would add way of being, way of acting, way of behaving. It's not just way of thinking. It's a certain life-affirming way of being that informs. The remix being, reducing it to its utmost simplicity, faith resolves itself into a mental attitude toward life. It is a certain life-affirming way of being, and that being informs our doing. So, if faith is a certain attitude toward life, a certain worldview, a certain point of view, a perspective of life, what is yours? Are you a half full, half empty, completely empty? What is your worldview? Because your worldview indicates where and how you are applying your faith towards whatever that is. What is your particular perspective, attitude? Because as we often say, your attitude determines your altitude. Remember, it said a couple slides back. It's based upon, like it rises to meet. This is where your faith is. It's a 7. Then I'm going to meet you at a 7. Oh, it's a 3. I'm going to rise to meet you at a 3. To what degree is our attitude affecting our altitude based upon how we are applying faith? For many, the attitude, as Maslow says, the attitude is if the only tool you have is a hammer, then you tend to see every problem as a nail. That's an attitude. It's a state of awareness, a state of consciousness. So, how do you expand your toolbox so that you have a plethora of all kinds of screwdrivers with different sized heads? There's a Phillips, there's a flathead, you have all kinds of ratchets and wrenches and pliers. You have all kinds, because now you have more and more and more. So when you see a nail or a screw, a piece of wood. When you see whatever, now you are seeing solutions of how to build rather than things to hit. Rather than things, right? Like you're no longer focusing on hammer, hit. But what if you're not supposed, what if that's a nail you're not supposed to hit though? Right? Like what if that's actually a screw, but because you see every problem as a nail, you're actually pounding a screw into, well, it's not gonna do what you want it to do because you're applying your attitude, you're applying your faith in an incorrect, because your motivation is it's not going to work. Breathe. The creative medium is already here. We merely use it, apply it. Instead of concentration, we need faith, which, remember, we have faith. We are invited to apply it differently, but we should always have a happy attitude toward the law. We should realize that this act of creation is silent and invisible, but that it is also irresistible. It will certainly bring into our experience the things we need if we trust its invisible power. Do you trust the invisible power? Now, the answer actually is yes, you do. Because you don't see oxygen, but you trust that it's there. You don't see atoms and molecules and all, but you trust that it's there. You don't actually see heat when you turn on the stove. And depending on what kind of stove you have, you might not even see fire. But you trust that there is heat being generated and that it will boil the water. But all of this is happening by an invisible power. We don't generally see electricity in terms of lights, and we don't see it. We see it when it expresses as lightning. But we trust the invisible. There is electricity moving through the wires into the bulb, creating light to illuminate my face for this video. But it's not like I can go, wait, there it is, right there. That's light. We don't see it. We see the effect of it. So you already trust invisible power. Question is, are you applying that trust in terms of God, the absolute, in terms of love, in terms of your power, in terms of your ability to soar? Do you trust? Do you trust? Who do you trust? What do you trust? What are you confident about? Right? This is trust. Conviction in. How are you applying trust? You already use it, you trust. Yeah, I trust that when I go out to the car and key in, it's going to trust. I have a certain belief. I have a certain faith that key in ignition, turn, car will, and when it doesn't, I'm like, well, okay, something's not working the way it's supposed to, because this should turn on, and it's not. And then I go make a phone call. Tracy, what's going on? The car's not starting. But we put it in there and turn it because we trust. We flick the light switch because we trust. We dial a number because we trust. We already do it. Question is, how are we applying what we already have? Just like the law of buoyancy, the law of aerodynamics, there is a law of trust, which we could call the law of faith. And just like there is an equation for buoyancy and aerodynamics, there is an equation for the law of faith. P divided by C to the third power times A equals walking by faith and not solely by sight. What P divided by, what is that? Well, power, conscious, conviction, confidence, and awareness. When we apply these in an equation kind, then we are able to walk by faith. We walk as faith and not solely based upon the evidence of, like, I don't have to see certain things to know that it's there. I don't have to see love. I trust and feel it. I don't see the radio waves moving from my phone through the ethers but I trust. So I don't have to see. A lot of us get so caught up in, I must see the. So how do we walk according to our faith, as a demonstration of our faith, and not solely as people who need, like doubting Thomas, I need to see the wounds, I need to see the spear hole, I need to see that, and then I'll trust. Why not flip it? Apply our faith and apply our trust, even when there may not be the quote unquote physical evidence of it yet. Dr. Holmes says the whole problem of evil, as stated by a variety of different scriptures around the world, is not a problem of dealing with an entity of evil, the devil, demons, but with the misuse of a dynamic power, which, when rightly used, it alone guarantees freedom. So evil, Jeffrey Dahmer, Adolf Hitler, any number of folks, they are expressing what we often would call evil. Their actions, their behavior, heinous. And it's because they are misusing the dynamic power of free will, the law, etc., for a variety of reasons. But they are misusing their divine authority to cause harm, because they too are divine incarnations of God. So they too have all of this stuff that we're talking about. How are they applying it? How are they using it? Same question, same thing, same concept. Because when we use it rightly, it guarantees freedom. When we use it rightly, it guarantees we are able to take to the skies. It guarantees, as Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, it guarantees for the Princess Diana, chosen of the Amazons, there is still no greater exhilaration than the sheer joy of flying. The invigorating feeling of the brisk breeze whipping wildly past her face. The incomparable sensation of pure, unbridled freedom. That's what up and away means. It means we are living our lives free. Come to the edge, he said, be free. We can't. We're afraid. We're comfortable in our cages, they responded. Come to the edge and be free, he said. We can't. We are bound. We will fall, they responded. Come to the edge and be free, he said. And so they trusted. They applied their faith in a way that said, I am willing. And so they came to the edge. And knowing that they can fly, knowing that flight is their divine nature, he pushed them. And the exhilaration of flying was their experience. Are you ready to come to the edge? The science of mind and spirit as a liberation theology offers us the ability to soar in life. We need not succumb to the indoctrination of mediocrity, where we settle for the table scraps of the wealthy 1% and we kowtow to the oppressiveness of fear, hatred, racism, sexism, and all of the others. We can rise up in ways that defy gravity, transcend the matrix, and boldly go where we have never gone before. True liberation is an invitation beyond the beyond. The invisible formlessness of creativity and imagination where we first create. Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 is a path and a practice. It is a methodology and a means by which we deconstruct our mental equivalents in order to construct more effective and more life-affirming ones, so we and all others are truly liberated in a world that truly works for all. Breathe. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I will say it first, and if you agree, if it resonates with you, then say it with me the second time around. I stand on a solid foundation of faith, and it gives me the power to rise up, up, and away. I soar magnificently. Together. I stand on a solid foundation of faith, and it gives me the power to rise up, up, and away. I soar magnificently. And so it is. Breathe. This week's journal questions and the Thursday evening study group questions. Number 1, what circumstances distract me from remembering oneness and cause me to forget the truth? What can I do to A, return my awareness to truth, and B, develop a default setting where I am more likely to keep my awareness on and as truth? Number 2, what do I really believe in? Based on my life, based upon what's going on in my life, what do I really believe in? What are some old beliefs or non-life affirming beliefs that I would like to deconstruct? I would like to update. I would like to eliminate. What beliefs are, or in the past were, keeping me caged? Number 3, what is my world view? What is my life view? And lastly, what is the edge that I am being invited towards? What would my life look like if I stepped off the edge? What does it mean for me to rise up, up, and away? In other words, what does it mean for me to soar, to take to the skies in my life? Breathe. As we enter into that space of prayer, where we simply will say, knowing that God is all there is and knowing that what it is I must be, I don't simply step off the edge. I dive. I dive into the infinite stream of life, feeling the exhilaration of all that spirit is moving around me, within me, through me, and expressing itself as me. I rise grandly, moment by moment. I take to the skies, moment by moment. I lift my consciousness and soar, moment by moment. Up, up, and away, moment by moment. My life is my amen. I engage the equation of the law of faith in the same way that I recognize and understand the natural laws of all of nature. And I apply it accordingly, knowing that faith has me. I am already using it and already demonstrating it. So I channel it and move it consciously with confidence, directed specifically towards what liberates me individually and what liberates we collectively. That is how I live my life. That is how I walk this thing called life. Breathe. Knowing that what I am saying of me applies to all who are listening today, whenever and wherever they are, right here and right now. No matter what is going on in each individual person's life, there is the opportunity for healing, the opportunity for change, the opportunity for liberation. So none of us need be bound by any external conditions, cages, oppressive laws, or legislation. We have the power of the infinite divine that is all there is. There is only one mind. That mind is God. That mind is our mind now. The truth, the whole truth, and only that which is true. In, through, and as us. And because there is only one life, and that life is God, and that life is our life now, we also have the opportunity and the ability to transform our lived experiences, knowing that none of us are free until all of us are free. Right now, I choose freedom for myself and for all others, and I live accordingly. I apply my faith accordingly. I speak my faith accordingly. I think my faith accordingly. I behave and allow my expression of this faith to be my behavior accordingly. The law says yes. The law is yes. It receives and it acts. And this treatment, this prayer, this benediction is already answered. And now the invitation, go to the edge and leap. Allow that to be the amen. And so it is. Breathe. And so it is. Much love and appreciation, everyone. Check the chat to see if we are meeting for fellowship afterwards. If yes, see you there. If not, see you soon. Love and appreciate you. Come to the edge.